morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. For the past few weeks, we have been covering the COVID-19 pandemic and the many ways it has and continues to affect our everyday lives. In this day and age, criminals attempting to pull scams over the phone or the internet is nothing new. But with this pandemic, criminals are busier than ever in their attempts to obtain money or data that could allow them to commit identity theft. My first guest is very familiar with many of these scams. Jim Temmer is the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau, serving Wisconsin. How are you, Jim?
I'm great. Staying healthy. How are you?
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. So, right off the bat, for those viewers who may not be familiar, would you fill us in on what the Better Business Bureau serving Wisconsin does, not only for consumers, but also businesses on a daily basis?
Sure, happy to do so. And the BBB has been around over 100 years, and we've been active in Wisconsin more than 80 years. And we really exist to create an ethical marketplace where buyers and sellers trust each other. We point out good businesses, we reward them. We've got accredited businesses that have been fully vetted by us. We point out the bad businesses and the scams. And we'll talk a lot about those here today. And consumers can come to us. You can find out information on a business, what the reviews are, if there are any complaints, our grading system, and all that, of course, is free for anybody that wants to use it. We have a device we call Scam Tracker, we can talk about a little later, where you can find out anything scam-wise going on across North America. So
Yes,
we really, oh,
you're fine.
so we're just here to help businesses and consumers connect with each other and to promote trust.
Yes, and we know that the coronavirus pandemic continues to impact people all over the globe. And as I said, scammers have seized the opportunity to prey on consumers. So there's everything from hoax text messages to scam robocalls. They're also really just preying on people's fears. And when people have lost their jobs and gone through all of these different things that have come along with this pandemic, they are not always in their same state of mind where they maybe think twice before they click on an email or something to that effect, right?
You know, that's right. We have this pandemic going around with coronavirus, and there's also a pandemic of fear and uncertainty. And these are the conditions where scammers have most success. You're not thinking clearly. You're trying to make decisions that are best for you and your family. Maybe you're one of the 28 million Americans that are out of work right now. There are a lot of people who have an uncertain future, and you know the bills are coming due. So when you get that email that says, here's a way you can get an extra $5,000 from the government, or you see a social media posting supposedly sent from a friend saying, hey, there's a grant out there, you can get some more money. Or there's an unscrupulous lender saying, I can give you a great second mortgage on your house because you need some cash up front and you've been paying for years into that house, and they're going to take advantage of you. So all these things, we can talk specifics, but the main point is people have to know they have to slow down. They have to think with their mind and not their emotions. And it always helps to talk to someone else. Do you have a trusted family member, a friend that you can talk to about financial things to make sure that you're not getting scammed and you get somebody else's opinion?
Yeah, and you always say, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is, right?
That's right, unfortunately, and that is true. So when you think you're getting free money or a great deal on something, or you see a miracle cure out there, odds are the only thing it's going to do is separate you from your money.
Yeah, so before we get into the many scams that exist, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you've been doing now that we're in this situation with social distancing and people are not meeting or coming together. You've done a lot of these webinars where people actually can tune in and get information from the experts to help them out, whether they are a consumer or a business owner, right?
That's right. We offer this free for anybody that wants to partake in it. And we've got them librated on our site, bbb.org, bbb.org, Wisconsin. And if you're from Wisconsin, you'll go to that page. And right, we've had people from our organization, people talking about business interruption insurance, people talking about other scams from the Federal Trade Commission, the State Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection. So we're putting all this information out there for people to come look at and use. Because the best way you can prevent being scammed is to educate yourself and empower yourself so you don't fall for one of these.
Yeah, as with everything, education is key. So you've got many consumers who have and will receive checks as part of the federal government response to the coronavirus. So it's important to note that no one will call you or text you to verify your personal information or bank account details in order to release funds. So dealing with this whole stimulus setup, please tell us what consumers should keep in mind.
Well, you just said the lion's share of it, and that's the government will not be contacting you through social media, through a text, through a phone call, email, asking for your social security number, your bank information. Those are very key personal bits of information that you have to guard like their cash, because really that's what they could do if they have that, is take your cash away from you. But also for the anyone who may be working or in a small business, those loans same way. There are emails going out supposedly from the Small Business Administration or from Social Security. These are all scams. And remember, like you said, the government isn't asking you for this information. And there is no hidden pot of money out there where you can get extra money, because that's another one we're seeing. People sometimes say, so what if my Facebook gets hacked? What's the big deal? Well, now a scammer can send out an email, a Facebook post to all of your friends. It'll look like it came from you, and it'll say, oh, click here and you can get this free money, or click here for a chance to win, a free trip. And it looks like it's coming from a trusted source, but it's really a scammer that just hijacked their social media.
Yeah, and there are a lot of emails going around as well, asking people to click on so they can find out the status of their stimulus, how much money they need to make, whatever the case may be. And the truth is, the IRS has a website, and there shouldn't probably be any other places that people are going to figure out their status or when they're receiving their check. Am I correct?
You are correct. And the other thing is, people are getting emails or texts saying that it's the CDC or it's the federal government, and you have to buy now a certain kind of COVID test. So send me your money, we'll send it to you. Or we're the CDC and someone has tested positive, but we'll tell you only after you give us your social security number and your other personal information. These are all fakes, and texts are coming out the same way. And the texters are kind of like robocalls. They'll send out millions of texts, and what they're really trying to do is just find an active phone number. So it will even say in there, if you don't want any more texts from us, reply no or reply stop.
Hmm.
Well, that's what they want you to do, because as soon as you reply, they know it's a live phone number, and then they're just going to sell it to other scammers. So if you get a text from a number you don't know, if you get a phone call from a number you don't recognize, if you get an email you didn't ask for, you can just delete the email, don't answer the phone, delete the text. Again, a great way not to get scammed is not even talk to the scammer, not even be in contact with them. If you reach out to somebody, that's fine. But if they're reaching out to you, you have to take a big grain of salt when you answer that, or I would say don't even answer it at all.
Yeah, you and I were talking the other day, and I told you it was like seconds before we had a conversation. And I said, I just received a phone call, like random, that said Switzerland, you know. And when I answered, they said nothing. So it makes a lot of sense. You said they just want to know if it's a live number. And so, with that said, this is a good time to kind of shed some light on your scam tracker. People can easily go to your website and tell them what to do from there.
Right. Once you get to Scam Tracker, and you can even just, search for Scam Tracker BBB, it's an interactive heat map showing scams going on that are reported all over the country and actually all over North America. And you can search, you can go down there, you can look, maybe you've got a relative in Atlanta or Seattle, they can see what's going on, you can call them up. People report scams. If you've lost money or if you haven't lost money, and other people get that information and they can use it, we also compile all that information into a database and share it with law enforcement. So maybe it's the same company name, maybe it's the same phone number. We then share that with law enforcement. But this is a great way for people to empower themselves, their neighbors, the whole country into stopping these scammers. They use technology all the time. They can spoof their phone number, they can say anything they want to. This is a chance for us to use technology and band together and try and stop them.
Absolutely. So even if you are not scammed and you receive a phone number or an email or any of those things, they can go to bbb.org and report that through the scam tracker so that you have the information to report it to everyone else. And so when we look back on how people are using this pandemic to scam others, they are using everything from phony cures to fake masks, employment scams, because unfortunately a lot of people have lost their jobs or been furloughed. And then you've got shortage scams, phishing scams, the list goes on and on. So when we talk about a shortage, we saw people kind of lose their minds in the beginning of this and buy lots of toilet paper, and then you see the prices start to go up on certain items as well.
That's right. And I think the highest I saw was $64 for one small container of toilet paper.
You're kidding.
Up around Green Bay. No, it was amazing. But we have to remember, so some of this price gouging is occurring. You know, when you go to the store and they're going to charge you $10 for a gallon of bleach or something. But we're finding across the board, there's a lot of price increases going on, but that's because product is scarce, transportation costs have gone up, personnel costs have gone up. But what we're talking about are those really, really blatant price gouging. Like we say, if someone's charging you $64 for a couple of rolls of toilet paper, you can report that to us. Again, we share that with the state government. They will do an investigation of it. You can do the complaint with us, and you can look for those complaints at the BBB too. Now, we aren't going to say exactly what is price gouging and what isn't. That's up to the authorities to tell you, but you can report it to us. We'll pass it on, and you can find any of those reports at bbb.org. Another one you mentioned, and I have to highlight, are the employment scams, because last year before this virus hit, that was our #1 reported scam on Scam Tracker. Everyone's looking for work these days, and you'll see an ad, or especially if you're on a job board, someone might contact you and say, hey, we've got a great job. You can work from home. You're going to make whatever they say, $50,000 a year, and you don't have to do much. And I'm going to send you your first 2 weeks check. I'm going to send you a check for $2,000, but there is some training and there are materials. So I need you to send me a check back for $750. You're going to get the check. It's a forged check. You're going to put a forged check in your bank, and you're going to draw your $750 out that you may or may not have and send it back to them. So you've lost your own money and you've put a fraudulent check into your account. We recommend never, ever send a check to someone you don't know. These are like if you're selling a car, if you're renting an apartment, these check scams are going on all over the place. And again, because people really need money, they're going to fall for that this time.
Yeah, great information. And quickly, we're running out of time, but you have a lot of people who are also working from home. And so you've got Zoom bombing where people are having their meetings and those are being infiltrated by scammers as well, or people who just want to interrupt what you're doing on your everyday job. And then also the predatory lending that exists just because you've got individuals who are looking for ways to maybe pay their mortgage or pay their car payment, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and that's a bad one. And those people tend to target the elderly because they've been paying on their home their whole life. Maybe right now the stock market went down, or maybe they lost a job and they need some cash. So they'll take an offer. Those people, again, we say slow down. Don't sign any forms with blanks on it. Make sure you understand exactly what you're getting into. And again, if you had a banker that you've dealt with for 20, 25 years, talk to them before you change any loan documents that you're looking at. To make sure that it's not some kind of low interest rate, high interest rate, balloon payment, or whatever they're trying to scam you out of. So again, overall, take your time, make sure you know where you're getting into, and ask a friend or relative for a second opinion.
Yeah, and we also just want to emphasize that the elderly are so often targets, sometimes because of isolation, maybe. They're not always the savviest when it comes to technology. And there's also even that whole scenario of, being easily trusting. So want to always remind the elderly to be very aware, and that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Jim, thank you so much for sharing all the great information today.
Always my pleasure, anytime.
Thanks again. Jim Temmer is the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau, serving Wisconsin. For more information on anything we've discussed, you can visit their website again at bbb.org or call 414-847-6000. If you're outside the area, 1-800-273-1000. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll continue to discuss COVID-19 and tell you about a philanthropic leader that has donated dollars to nonprofits that serve our community's most vulnerable populations. We'll find out more about Vader Philanthropies right after this.